Welcome back to the PI show. Before the break we were discussing some questions viewers had, and one, again, common question that a number of people have, but where people are injured a number of years ago but the injury has progressively got worse. Can they make a claim?
Depends on what sort of injury it is, Harry. If it's public liability, you can always apply for extensions under the Limitation of Actions Act.
So if it's more than 3 years old, the law says you should have made the claim within 3 years of the injury.
Yeah, no, it's quite complicated, but there are means and ways of extending time.
Extending time.
Yes.
So that's public liability. What about work cover?
Same thing applies. I mean, the courts generally look at certain factors when they try and extend time. What knowledge did you have about the law? Is there prejudice on the insurer?
But work cover, because it's statutory benefits, it's got special provisions about when you should apply. I think tax, you've got to apply within, you should apply within 1 year, and then
or
3
at discretion
years.
Up to 3 years.
Up to 3 years. After 3 years, no claim.
I think there is provision when, you know, you discover something down the track and an injury manifests itself down the track, but it's going to be a very rare case.
It's a very rare case.
Very rare case.
Within 3 years of an accident, if you haven't made a claim,
you've got problems.
You've got very significant problems. Work cover, the longer you delay, the worse I think it gets.
I mean, you've got to do it as soon as you become aware.
As soon as you become aware,
yeah.
And there's arguments about when did you really become aware of your injury. You know, did it start on this day or a week later or a year later? But again, work cover, like any insurer, the longer you delay making claims, the more suspicious they get. They're inherently suspicious.
Yeah, they would, because, I mean, you know...
It was before your time, but there's a film by Edward G. Robinson, Double Indemnity, and he was very suspicious of a death on a train, and he forensically worked out it was a murder and not a suicide. So
what year was that? What year was that?
It was before you were born. But it was an example of an insurance investigator being very suspicious of claims, and he said, "Look, my gut says there's something wrong," and he investigated, and there was something wrong.
Well, Harry, it just highlights that if in doubt, contact a lawyer that specialises in this area. That's the key to it.
I agree. Make a claim, contact a lawyer, and get
some expert advice.
Get some advice. Another question is concerning someone who's injured. They go back to work, and they think that down the track they might be off work. Can they still claim for future
I think
loss?
This is in relation to damages, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can. You can make what they call a FALO claim, where, you know, you throw up evidence to say that I may have time off work in the future because I need an operation or something. It's speculative in the sense that it's 10, 15, 20 years down the track. Yeah, you can get a small allowance made for that. It could be anything up to $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, sometimes even more.
So if you've got a damaged knee and in the future you're going to have a knee replacement,
yeah,
you're probably going to have some time off work. So you might have 3 months or 6 months off work with a knee replacement.
Or there's another scenario where you might have to take days off here, there, everywhere.
For treatment.
There's a lump sum thrown in there just to cover all those days over many years.
So even though you're back at work, you're not losing any money as of today or the day of a trial. You just have you're guessing in the future.
It's a guesstimate of what's going to happen.
Of what may happen in the future.
Mind you, there was another interesting case of Malik, which we discussed a long time ago, where the lady was that film producer and had children, and
she fell in a pub.
Yeah, and her barrister put to the jury, members of the jury, give my client $100,000 for future loss, and she got it.
Yeah, the jury agreed, and look...
It was a very broad brush approach.
Yeah, but it was reasonable. I mean, she wanted to work in the film industry, and, you know, that was what she probably...
I think that's a more sympathetic way of assessing damages, Malik, but it's very rare that people apply that sort of method. They usually fall back onto FALO. I think Malik should be looked at more closely.
And another case again of people of what compensation's worth and how people arrange their affairs. There's a case of Husher and Husher where husband and wife were 50-50 partners. The husband, who was the main breadwinner, was injured, and he claimed 100% loss of both his income and his wife's income. And what did the court do?
Well, in that one there, Harry, what happened was they were permitted to split income under the tax legislation. So then when he did get injured and the business fell apart, he went to court and said, look, I'm the one generating the income, so the court gave him 90%. They knocked off 10% for being the contribution made by the wife.
Yeah.
So he got the larger chunk of his loss of income for the future.
And the insurance company said, look, your income tax says you're splitting your income 50-50.
You're getting 50%, that's all we give you.
And that's all the court should award.
That's right.
And the courts looked behind, you know,
yeah, they went behind it to see who was really generating the income, and it turned out the husband. They said it was 90%.
Yeah, the husband in that case. So so the courts took let's say a more realistic approach rather than just looking at the the figures on paper.
That's right.
So
well, I mean, split income is a legitimate way of reducing the taxes. So
yeah,
that's why the courts. But if it's some illegal activity like not declaring cash, that's different. That is different. The courts wouldn't be too sympathetic in those circumstances.
Some cases yes, some cases no. There's ways and means of presenting that material to a court.
But I'd be very, very wary.
And although it breaches a tax act, there are ways and means of how that material might be presented to a court, and the court can take into account a realistic assessment.
It could impinge on your credibility, so you've got to be very careful with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Harry, I just wanted to reinforce to the viewers that if keep sending the questions in, because I think I enjoy reading them, and we both enjoy looking at them and trying to give them some sort of an answer. Yeah,
we're happy to deal with questions, and we try and keep up to date with all the cases and what happens with the law about injuries and how people are compensated both in Australia. We haven't done many international cases.
No, we haven't. But
we will be
looking at an aircraft case then.
Yeah, we'll be looking at people who are injured in the context of aeroplanes and the law governing that at a future time. But look, thanks for coming off the reserve bench.
No, I actually enjoyed being back.
You're back on deck.
And kick a couple of goals and maybe stay on the field, I think.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for watching, and don't forget to go to our website and send in questions or comments. We're keen to deal with those in a future show. Thanks for watching.